Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting on September 27th, 2024. Attendees are Andrei Swankov, Simo Helston, and Randy Ost, and myself, Ralph Koller. And yeah, I've suggested taking a look at one of the issues in the shortlist. Issue number is 2983456, exposed triggering update of media, metadata, and thumbnail to end users. I've also prepared basically a site. I can also, oops, sorry for the jump. Share. Can provide a link to the installation. Again, admin, and also to drag that over. Follow along. What this issue is basically introducing is in the drop button operations, it is adding a update metadata option as well as in the bulk. And Benji is joining. 1 second, I'll repost the issue we're taking currently a look at.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. I've reposted the two links, Benji. First is the issue we're taking a look at currently, and second is a link to an installation.
Thank you.
And as I've said, issue number 2983456, exposed triggering update of metadata, metadata, and thumbnail to end users. And as you can see here, it is adding basically a update metadata option as well as in the bulk action list an update metadata option as well. And it technically it functions like that. As you can see here, we have the following picture. If I go now and remove that one and oh no, that's the wrong one. And copy that one over and click the update metadata. As you can see, probably too tiny. Oh, interesting. That might be a caching problem then. Of course, the preview thumbnail is still updated, but the actual image is still the old one without the red circle around. And yeah, that is basically it. It's basically updating the metadata and the thumbnail, in particular also for remote videos that I'm unable to test. We would need basically a YouTube channel where the thumbnail is getting updated, and then we could actually update the metadata. Point is, in the remaining task section, there are 3 issues referenced, and the request for usability review, one by Benji in comment number 108, and the other is referencing the comment I've made and also a while ago suggested the re-review and yeah, backed Benji on that. the 3 points in question is basically 67 testing with multiple languages, but it's basically a test, so not relevant, same as a security item in 80. Yeah, the 138 is basically the comment I've made last year. And those are basically still the points I stand with, and I see problematic or room to improve for that issue. But at first, are any questions until this point?
I don't hear
Everything.
any questions.
Yeah. So then let's step and demonstrate the issues I found or had with the issue. First, those status messages you see there with updated metadata on media item find cat. Point is for one, I could go in here, updated metadata on media, updated metadata. I could do it 20 times in a row, and each and every time you get the same status messages, even though nothing is actually happening there anymore after the first actual update. That is one detail. But then there is the point of that I'm unable to demonstrate right now, but if I've simulated basically the case, I tried to update the remote video and then simply shut off my WLAN. So I was unable to actually access the internet anymore. But the update metadata, the status was still updated metadata on remote video. And it took no notice that no access was possible at all. And the other thing I'm able to demonstrate, if you delete the image in the file system, it got deleted for whatever reason, and then do a metadata update. As you can see, update metadata on media. Technically, it was updated because it got removed. But I think I have made 4 suggestions. If everything runs through fine with changes in place on media item source, the current status message could be used. For scenario A, how about something like nothing to update media item X remains unchanged? For scenario B, with the remote source for media item X is currently unavailable. Refreshing the metadata is not possible. Try again later. And for scenario C, the source file for media item X is missing, unable to refresh the metadata. That would be one suggestion, so make it a bit more aware of the underlying situation. And the main question I wrote the issue about was basically the general question on the issue that was mainly raised in comment 10 and comment 60. And based on all the discussion, because for one, update is sort of a loaded term. And from my perspective, the term refresh implies a more unsupervised and automated process, that something is basically at time A in time and point B in time is simply just refreshed and updated and compared against. With update, you could make more assumptions in there. And yeah, based on the comments with 10 and 60, And also the term metadata is, I'm unsure. So my suggestions on there was basically refresh video information, refresh image information, and refresh local video information. And in the context of those buttons there, change it from update, because all the options in here are single terms: edit, translate, and delete, while the other is update metadata. So simply, yeah, refresh was, I guess, raised in comment number 10. And simply go with refresh here. And because with update, my assumption might be that, yeah, it's still involves some sort of active interactions there. And with the refresh, it's something automated and refreshed simply. And here, down here, instead of those using longer constructs, and therefore change from update metadata to refresh from source simply. And that would be less ambiguous and perhaps more clear. And also in the last point, Ubenji recommended in 56 the following. Those instructions here, that is on Drupal.org docs. Was already added as noted in 57, and I've suggested, but I wonder if it would make sense to create a help topic for the update metadata or the refresh or refresh from source task alongside. That way the user wouldn't have to leave the admin UI, plus it would be an easy and convenient way to explain the underlying functionality as well, what it entails, aka what data is being updated, refreshed for the different media types. Yeah, that would be the summary. Any thoughts or different opinions and views on the problem? Or is the current state good from your perspective?
I strongly agree with the change, the update to refresh, because when I look at it, it has an edit which goes to a form, and it has delete, translate that go to delete, probably goes to a confirmation form, and translate goes to somewhere. So that update metadata, it kind of feels broken, because initially I assumed that it would open a page or dialog.
Yeah.
So what's the current status of this issue? It sounds as though we've given reviews.
Benji, excuse me, could you turn up the volume a little bit? Because the volume is quite low at the moment for you.
Just a second. Well, what if I just speak very loud? Is that okay?
It's better. Thank you.
Okay. So it seems that we've given usability reviews on this issue in the past, and yours was from almost a year ago. So are these reviews not being addressed, or are people pushing back on them? What do we need to do to actually move the issue forward?
Yeah, my comment in 138 was basically not addressed or ignored, and they just moved it forward with details after that. And yeah, from my point of view, it would be good to give a clear direction, because basically in 138, it's my personal opinion just. And as I've said on that comment, it would be good to validate it against a bigger group. If you all agree with the points raised there, or we could decide if some of them are out of the scope for this issue and need a follow-up, or if everything listed there should go in there, or if some of the points are irrelevant or should be tackled otherwise. So yeah, I think just have a consensus in a bigger group should be the goal for today.
Okay, so let's go through those points one at a time.
I scroll down again. So first point would be the status message.
For refreshing several times, I think that's not a blocker, because it's extra work, like unnecessary work. So that's not a good thing to happen. But then it takes if comparing the current thumbnail to the previous like the incoming thumbnail, it would require a little bit more processing. So in that case, we might I'd be willing to leave it as it is, allowing to refresh several times, in order to kind of, in most cases, leave a little bit of processing away.
Yeah, but question, but would you reflect? Yeah, yeah, running the thing is good, but I mean, would you think it would make sense to reflect the fact that there is no update in the status message?
Yeah, and for errors, of course, it should mention those.
I think I agree with that. There should definitely be some indication that there's an actual error. But comparing the current metadata to the old metadata, where metadata, I think, is a bad word for this. It's like, it can be like a thumbnail, right? Comparing whether or not that's changed seems, as Simo said, like a difficult task. So I don't think we should insist on that, but I do think we should insist on something if there's an error.
Okay. So 1 second, I'll copy that. So I'll make an error in front. So you would say for scenario B, something like the remote source for media item is currently unavailable. Should have a error message, and same for that the source file for media is missing.
For scenario B, less is more. In the second sentence, I would remove the first part and just say try again later.
Mhm.
Anyone else agree, disagree? And in the first sentence, do we really need to say for media item X? Isn't that clear from context?
It is clear from context, but I stuck basically with the pattern that was used for a successful update. There, the file name was also, or the entity was also named. That was the reason, but
It could be an kind of a, it could help if somebody clicks on incorrect item and then it could indicate that why it went wrong, but it's not a common case.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Okay, yeah, leave it in. How about the word currently?
where currently?
The remote source for media item X is currently unavailable.
Ah, that could be striked as well. Shall I?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
So basically, all the three scenarios should be noted, technically. Okay. So scenario A, nothing to update. Media item X remains unchanged. For scenario B, the remote source for media item X is unavailable. Try again later. And the source file for media item X is missing. Unable to refresh the metadata.
I think the first one is not as important as the other two. So I would like say that the other two would be required and the first one is optional.
Okay.
Also, if we're trying to get away from the term metadata, then we
Yeah.
shouldn't have it in these messages.
Yeah. I would think, yeah, that applies only to scenario C. Yep, I just rechecked the other two, but yeah, that is something I was also thinking about after you started to slim and shorten the other one. Would it make sense to simply, yeah, the source file for media item X is missing, unable, and should we maybe rephrase it and put the unable to refresh, or no, the root cause is basically the source file is missing, so that should be first. Yeah, so maybe the source file for media item X is missing, unable to refresh, and just strike the metadata at the end.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so scenario A, optional and leave it up to the people working on the issue, but require scenario B and C, those two error messages, and any other opinions, or are the three suggested ones nothing to update, media item X remains unchanged, the remote source for media item X is unavailable, try again later, and the source file for media item X is missing, unable to refresh, are okay with everyone?
I think so.
Okay. Then let's move to the second point, if there's nothing else. In regards of the microcopy in here, should we change from update metadata to refresh? or to something else?
I really might click term metadata if it's referring to something like a thumbnail. So I think refresh is clearer and more accurate. I think it's more shorter.
Down here it was also update metadata. In here, the suggestion was instead of metadata, refresh. From source. Any other ideas or?
I think that's an improvement.
I was thinking maybe if we could make it to have just 2 words like refresh content or something like that, but it wouldn't make sense because content is a loaded term.
Yep. Yeah, in that context, that from is necessary to provide some sort of context. But one thing I forgot to ask, for scenario C up here with the source file for media item access missing, unable to refresh, is it okay? Yeah, technically it is okay. Yeah, that basically, yeah, the missing icon is shown here. There's no need of any additional step there, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure what I want to happen in this case. Do I want the thumbnail to go away to indicate that there's a problem, or do I want to keep the thumbnail so I'm reminded of what used to be there?
Yep. But technically, the source is missing, which the thumbnail is based on, and keeping the thumbnail, I'm also not sure if that's would be the right choice here.
Well, maybe in this case, we need a confirmation dialogue.
For remote video, it might be that it's temporary, that the source is not available. So then it kind of makes sense to keep it.
Good point. But how should be the flow for that? Meaning, I'm clicking here for update metadata, and that file is missing. Should I then be redirected to a confirmation page with basically?
I think a confirmation page could be good, because there are also a lot of cases where the Drupal PHP is running on a different server, and then the file system is folder is mounted from another file system. So in that kind of cases, it could indicate that there are issues, and if we want to look forward, somebody will make this into bulk action, and then it would break things just because of a temporary connection failure.
Okay.
And for remote media, the confirmation form could have two options: try again or cancel. When the file is missing, the two options would be remove thumbnail or keep thumbnail.
Thumbnail, not mail. Remove thumbnail or keep. And the question is, those options for those two cases, should they be radio buttons, or should they be simply just two different buttons? One cancel, the other try again, or one remove thumbnail, on the other keep thumbnail? I tend here rather to radio button, and here it could be button based.
I think if there is option to cancel, it should be a button, and
Yeah.
the other one should be like similar.
I think the usual pattern for confirmation forms is to have two different submit buttons: cancel and to do something.
Okay, so for the scenario here, we would have not try again, retry and cancel as the buttons.
Yes.
And for the other, with the remove thumbnail and keep thumbnail.
Or remove thumbnail and cancel. EL. Cancel is spelled with an E.
Oh, yeah. Now oh, yep. Yeah. That might work. But now the question in that context of the confirmation page, how to handle things if you are doing a bulk action and you have more than one image or video source that is missing.
Oh,
I think because that's not a core function, I think let's worry about that when the time comes.
Oh, crap. It's possible that you are even able to mix remote video and image for the update metadata. So, ooh. But isn't it a core function then? If that goes into core?
Oh, is it? So it will come to, but yeah. But I was just thinking that because you can't like check boxes and click edit to edit multiple simultaneously, I kind of thought that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is already in. That is basically the bulk action. Simply
Okay,
down
so
here.
then we really need to think about that.
Yeah. And I've mixed basically the types here, remote
Yeah.
video and image, and that way that separated clearly specific confirmation page for an image and for a remote video won't work here.
Is it impossible for us to make like a chain of confirmation pages, like a multi-step confirmation? That would be quite horrible, but it could be one way to look at it.
Hmm. But the problem is let's
Or
say
then,
you
or we could just reduce the options.
how do you mean that?
Or then, so if a file is missing, then try again doesn't. Or do we have it there? Yeah, but we could have a kind of a separate confirmation for mixed content.
Yeah.
I think with a bulk operation, we don't want to present someone with 50 different confirmation forms.
Yes.
And we might present them with a series of confirmation forms, each of which has the option of going on to the next or quitting the whole thing. But that's not a pattern we have anywhere in Drupal. I don't think we should go there. I think we should just take the default action, what happens if you press cancel on the individual items. And if it's a missing local image, then do not delete the thumbnail because that's irreversible. If it's a remote thing, don't try again. So just take the default action and then report at the end that these were updated and perhaps list the ones that could not be updated.
But from a user's perspective, that is also, I would consider intimidating. If you, let's say you have 100 media entities and you do a bulk action update there. And then you have, out of those 100, you have 20 entities that media items that are either missing the thumbnail or are not reachable. And personally, if I would get through that and then have the notification at the end, hey, we handle things like the following way, and you have now to manually go into each of them in case I dislike the set default and how things are proceeded, then it would be also cumbersome to a degree. So
I'm beginning to think that this is just too complicated. We should make a separate issue for the bulk operation.
Yeah.
Let's concentrate first on the drop button action.
Yep. Then let's say we create a follow-up for the bulk action. That would be a good compromise. Because, yeah, the bulk action might block that issue otherwise for a while.
Okay, and we just have 4 more minutes.
Oh, thank you. So we have an agreement on the 3 scenario microcopy for the 3 scenario, the microcopy for the 3 scenarios. We have a consensus in regards of the confirmation dialogues for scenario B and C, and a consensus in regards creating a follow-up for the bulk operation scenario. And yeah, the open question is for refresh for the option here. I suppose we also have a consensus. Question is if the refresh from source for the bulk action option is also a consensus, or
That's in the follow-up issue.
no, no, that is only the oh, would you remove the option entirely from this issue?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. True, that makes sense. Yeah, 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 yeah. And the last point, in regards, should there be a help text page for the information, or is the recommended change by you in 56 already enough, or 57?
Are there already help topics for the other options on this page?
Let's check. Edit.
I think this should be under media library.
No, not really. The other options, it doesn't look like are covered in here as well. So should we keep it as is and don't add anything in addition?
I think so.
Okay. 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 And last question in regards of the continuous. No, forget it. I forgot. We already covered it. I think then we are through with that issue.
Okay. Thank you, Ralph, for bringing it up.
Yeah, I'll write up a comment and yeah, do the rest there. Okay, doke. How long is Contrib Day going today?
I think for another hour.
For another hour, okay. Cool. And when are you heading back to the US?
Monday.
Monday, okay. Cool. Then enjoy Barcelona for the next few days.
Thank you.
And yeah, then
Have fun. I just arrived into gray and rain from Barcelona.
quite a
Yeah, so-
contrast.
Have fun. Have a nice weekend.
Enjoy the weekend, everyone. Till
Yep.
next week. Bye bye.
Bye.